I've been a fan of Disney Channel since I was a child, and I continue to watch the network much later than many of my friends because I still saw value in the network. In the last few years, my thoughts on Disney have changed, and I've watched a very small number of their shows. I used to see Good Luck Charlie as the last good show on the network, but enter in Andi Mack. Hey guys, what's up? Sermo11 here with my review of Andi Mack, the newest Disney Channel show by Terry Meninsky. Meninsky's previous work, Lizzie McGuire, was also on Disney Channel back in the day when I was a child. Before jumping completely into Andi Mack, I want to tell you that there will be spoilers, major spoilers for Andi Mack, and I will be going through the entire show. Andi Mack is a very plot-driven show. There's a plot point that becomes the driving force in the story, so I really think that you should watch the show before watching this review. I thought I was done with Disney Channel when Good Luck Charlie ended. I watched the usually lackluster Girl Meets World, but in my eyes, the network was dead at this point. Canadian series Backstage also aired on Disney and was something that was somewhat interesting, but it wouldn't jump the shark into more current topics, more aggressive topics, I guess, like other Canadian series Degrassi would. Andi Mack is a really good show, and I was surprised that Disney Channel had such a nice show on their network. I'm sure kids these days have plenty of shows that they like on the network, but as an adult, Andi Mack is something that I could watch, and I think that younger people could also watch. I became very engaged with the show, and I was waiting every week to see where this plot went. Andi Mack is a coming-of-age story about a girl named, well, Andi Mack. What a cool name, by the way. On her 13th birthday, her older sister Bex comes home and reveals a secret that literally changes Andi's life. Bex is Andi's mother. In the first episode, the show tackles teen pregnancy, and this plot point is important for the entirety of the show. There's other characters such as Andi's grandparents who used to be her parents until this secret. Their names are Celia Mack and Henry Mack. Celia seems to get upset over Bex and Andi's decisions, but at the end of the day, she cares. It's just the fact that she can be rude about showing that she cares about them. I feel like Henry is a lot more laid back and fun. He seems to be more willing to help Bex without being mean, and her mother Celia is very mean to her. Buffy and Cyrus are friends of Andi. Buffy is smart but competitive. Her competitive nature affects her relationships with people and leads to her making rash decisions. Cyrus is influenced by what others say and how they behave. He'll change his behavior for students that are more popular than him, and he's very concerned about following the rules and doing what's right. There's also Andi's love interest and cool guy, Jonah Beck. If you've been to any level of school and had a popular kid that was also polite, that is literally this guy. He's dating Amber, who has just been mean so far. She's really out to get Andi and everything because she feels like Andi is trying to steal Jonah from her. Andi herself is hard to describe. She's smart and nice, but I can see a wild side inside of her, and I think that's a way of relating her to her mother, Bex. Bex appears to be the wild child in the family, and she's traveled around the world. Andi has a motorbike, Bex has a motorbike. This is a connection that they make between the two characters within the first episode, so you can see how they're trying to make Andi seem like Bex even though Bex isn't around, and Andi is still getting influenced by Bex even though Bex isn't around. Now, I'll be giving a summary of what happens in Season 1, so again, if you haven't seen the show and you're already watching the video, you already know about the teen pregnancy. More spoilers are coming, and if you don't want to hear this, you can kind of skip in the video because I'm going to be going through everything. I'm going to be talking about different stuff. And if you want to watch it, sit down, get some popcorn, let's do this. After learning the secret about Bex, Andi and her family are having trouble adjusting to this new life that they all have. Andi ends up joining the Frisbee team, and she tells her friends about Bex being her mother. And I understand that they're close, they're good friends, but I thought this was super weird. If this happened in real life, would you honestly tell your friends this? Because I wouldn't tell my friends anything. This is a family only topic. Bex gets a job and Andi ends up seeing her father on one of Bex's pictures, and for some reason Cyrus's mother decided to tell everyone about Andi's secret, which leads to it coming up at school. This is a good way of introducing the secret and not keeping it till like the season finale or later on in the show. It's a good way of introducing the secret, but it's kind of weird. Like, why would your mom do this? That's horrible. Jonah, he ends up thinking the secret is cool. Andi and Bex end up having a party when the parents are away, and Amber uses Andi's secret to make fun of her. Buffy meets her love interest Marty from the party, and Buffy gets in trouble for her curly hair, which is a very real-world topic that happens all the time in schools for some reason. I don't know why, but people with curly hair, they get in trouble because their hair is seen as a distraction or something. It's a very dumb thing, but it does happen. Cyrus goes on a double date, and Jonah's there, Amber's there, and Amber's friend who is interested in Cyrus. Andi notices that Amber might be cheating on Jonah after seeing her with another guy. Amber uses Jonah's phone to mess with Andi and prove that she likes Jonah. Marty and Buffy compete in a race. Andi's father, Bowie, comes by the house and Andi finally gets to meet him. Bowie didn't know about Andi until Henry told him. Andi spends a day with her dad and she ends up getting closer with him, and he starts living with their family and cooking meals and all that. But Andi ends up yelling at him because he's on her laptop and he just kind of disappears. Andi starts behaving badly and acting like Bex. Buffy destroys Marty's shoes after Andi and Cyrus said that Buffy has a crush on Marty, and because Buffy thinks that Marty took one of her shoes. Andi helps Jonah get a gift for Amber's birthday. Bex takes Andi to live with her at an apartment, and it turns out that Andi is having trouble living with Bex due to her habits and the apartment being terrible. They try to take some supplies from their old home but end up getting caught, and Andi starts taking her laundry to their old home, and Andi starts being at their old home more. And Bex takes Andi back to their old home after various problems, but then Andi is brought back almost immediately after feeling unhappy with her grandparents, and Andi is with Bex in the apartment permanently and calls Bex mom for the first time. Andi and her friends have a new principal and decide to fight the new dress code with prison uniforms. Jonah doesn't want to join in, but he wants Andi to take a picture with their frisbee team, and Andi agrees, but only after hearing why she's wearing the uniform, because she feels like Jonah isn't listening to her, and Jonah can't tell her why she's wearing the uniform. So Andi and Jonah have one of the best scenes in the entire show.
We're still friends, right?
Jonah, be honest. Were we ever?
Freaking great scene. Loved it. Top scene in the show so far. Jonah is having issues with Amber and her friends as they're treating him like a child, and he seems to be more interested in Andi after their friendship kind of ended. And Bowie returns, and he and Bex still like each other, and Andi is trying to push them together. And Amber has this cool idea that if you look back at someone, you're interested in them. So Andi looks back at Jonah, and, well, Cyrus does it too. Finally, Bowie might marry Bex, and that's how season 1 ends. There's an episode 13, which is also part of season 1, but that's going to air later, and Disney used that in a promo for season 2, even though it's not season 2. That was a pretty long summary. I just want to move on to specific plot points. For the most part, this show feels very real. I like how every episode continues into the next, making a continuous narrative. But I thought the way that Andi handled her secret was a little bit odd, and it seemed like Andi treated her grandparents differently after learning the secret about Bex. And if this were real life, I think Andi would still refer to her grandparents as her parents. Why change things now? You're 13 years old. You don't really need to mess up this situation even more. Your grandparents are your parents now. Just forget about it. Or she could call Bex and Celia mom or something. Her grandparents raised her, and I feel like they should still be the main people in her life, but that's just how I feel. I get that Andi had the impression that Bex was her sister for most of her life, but it seemed like they started being around each other a lot more after learning that Bex was her mother, and a relationship like this isn't built immediately, but maybe that's why they were sisters before, so it makes it easier for them to get closer. Celia is a total bench. I don't understand her character. She's mean, but she cares. Her and Bex always fight, and she was the one who pushed Bex to leave. And what's with people and leaving in this show? I thought the writing was weird for these points because Bex wanted to leave after Andi was mean to her, and Bowie left after Andi was mean to him. This is your child. Your child can't make you leave. You're an adult. I don't understand why they're just leaving. And Andi, you can't talk to your parents like that. If anyone's parents allow this, they're not raising their kid right at all. I like that the reveal of Andi's father wasn't held back to the season finale or anything. They tackled it very early in the show, and Ham doesn't seem like he's a big part of the show. He's not in the opening, which means he's a guest whenever he shows up in the show, and maybe they could upgrade him to a main cast member in season 2. Maybe he was working on another show or something, but I think that's something that should happen. The side characters aren't forgotten in Andi Mack, as Buffy, Cyrus, and Jonah have their own things going on. I don't like Buffy's character, and I really disliked her after she put Marty's shoes in the toilet. I would never be friends with her after that. And Cyrus changing how he acts around the cool kids is a real thing, but I don't really like it. It's lame, but it happens. Jonah and Andi's relationship throughout season 1 was really interesting because, well, they're not friends. There's a nice popular kid at any level of school, elementary, middle school, high school, college, just a nice kid that's popular that speaks to people. Those people aren't your friends, and I thought that was cool that this got into the show. Andi Mack also has a previously and next time on Andi Mack, and those are things that I love in TV shows, and I'm really glad that this show has that. And I'm not sure how mature this show can get, but I can see it becoming even better as the kids grow up and experience more about life. So what did you think about Andi Mack season 1? Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. The links are below. I'm Surma11. See you next time, and peace out.